Are you searching? Are you looking for something more, something different? Are you maybe being called to your ancestral roots? Are you looking for a tribe of like-minded women who have the intention of empowering one another? The Modern Sages Soul Tribe is a tribe of women that believe in exploring beyond the broken constructs of society. When we remember our divine self, we awaken the medicine within. In doing so, this medicine activates color, vitality, and a sweetness to life. It empowers us to navigate, embrace, and thrive in this physical journey. Spiritual seekers, it's time. It's time to embrace the medicine within. Join the Modern Sages Soul Tribe today. Welcome to those who are joining us. I'll be, shouting out to you who are joining us live. So we just wanted to dive in. Me and Emiko met during our shamanic training practices. We had our last gatherings together, and it was so much fun to just get to know Emiko and see the beauty that she offers and her beautiful, unique medicine. And so I just wanted to have you on to share, what's worked for you as far as diving into your medicine, your story. I know that as we share our own medicine, it helps us integrate, but then it also empowers those around us to dive within their medicine as well. So that is the purpose. So, Emiko, who are you, and where are you at right now in this current lifetime?
Oh boy. Well, I'm 32. I'm from Southern California, Redondo Beach. That's actually how I met Candace. Like I just randomly went to a crystal shop and like got a reading from her and all that. But by trade, I went to school as a graphic designer. Grew up as an artist, like always painting when I was younger and stuff. But I actually just quit my job on Thursday. I've been there for 5 years.
Wow.
Hated it since I started it, but I like knew I had a reason being there, just like learning a lot about myself.
Yeah.
It's really crazy because when I started that job, yeah, 5 years ago, and like that version of me, like I couldn't be here like doing this interview like one-on-one. Like I was just super insecure at that time, and like the growth that I've just done from then till now is just crazy. And I feel like my journey right now, quitting this job, I'm moving to Hawaii, like completely starting over and just really trusting, spirit on like what I don't even know like what's going to happen, like what my path is exactly going to Maui specifically, but I just know I have to be there. So I'm answering the call and just like
That's
trying to not,
amazing.
yeah. And it's funny how like earlier, the little mini reading that you gave me, like not being in my body and just being like, which, yeah, I feel like I feel like now I'm not worrying as much, but like as I got to this point, I've just been like, what am I supposed to do? Like, da, 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 and not really like learning to embrace the moment and just being grounded and just listening to spirit to be like, trust, you don't have to know everything right now, like just be in the
Right.
moment.
Yeah.
So that's basically like where I'm at right now. But
That's
yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, I feel like it's a perfect place to be in all aspects of that. So I'm excited to see. So when do you actually move to Hawaii?
So I am looking to do work trade, like it's called woofing. If I don't know if like people have heard that, or there's like other websites like Workaway, but you basically volunteer to work on a farm, usually in exchange for free rent. And I personally just feel like I've been called to really learn to work with like the land, specifically Hawaii, but just in general to like learn how to grow food and all that. Cause
Mm-hmm.
I think when you really connect with nature in that way, especially learning how to grow nature, it really connects you even more to spirit. Like it's Mother Earth, and it's just like magical. Like some of these fruits that I saw in Hawaii, like I've never seen over here. I'm just like, dude, this is crazy. Like just how they look
Yeah,
and just like amazing. Like God made this.
it's so
So
beautiful.
yeah, I don't know exactly like what's gonna come from that. I feel like I might be meeting people while I do that, and then it's going to
Yeah.
segue into something bigger. That's kind of like the messages I've been getting, but I also feel like spirit's not going to show me everything, obviously,
Right.
it
We have to
wants me
take
to
the leap.
trust, right? So yeah.
That
Yeah,
dang taking the leap sometimes.
I know. And for me, it's like I'm really into astrology. So like most of my planets are all cardinal and fixed signs. Like my only mutual or mutable sign is in Pisces, which is my rising sign. So change is really hard for me. Like mutable signs like are really, go with the flow, can change. Like, but for me, it's just like so hard. So
Yeah.
just
Well,
learning
I'm
to
proud
like
of
be,
you.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. I'm excited to watch your journey unfold. So let's move forward. So, what led you to really taking the dive to embrace your unique medicine within?
So I grew up in a pretty like strict Christian household. I don't want to say strict, but it kind of was just in terms of, like the stigma between like having gifts and like psychic abilities and stuff is evil. So I've always had an interest in that, but kind of like in secret because, my parents aren't about that. So growing up in the church, I felt disconnected. Like I definitely like believed in God and like, had that relationship, but I also just was kind of lost and like, what is going on? Like there's something missing. And I think like growing up, especially like middle school and high school, like I didn't really have the full connection yet. So I got really insecure and like terrible social anxiety, depression. Yeah. And then it ended up like after college, I like dated this guy and I kind of self-sabotage, like realizing like, I just kind of have like some trauma, like in terms of like my dad, who he's a really great dad and great person, but very religious. And I think that kind of just like bled into like my other relationships. So with that, when that breakup happened, I ended up starting to go to therapy. And like just through I only went to therapy maybe like 6 7 months or something, but like kind of started unraveling like my traumas and stuff. And then fast forward right when COVID happened, me and my best friend did like a 3 month meditation challenge where we like meditated for 10 minutes every day. It actually started for like 1 month, but then we like did it 3 times. So once I like
Wow.
started, yeah, like once I started getting into that more and more, like things just started happening. Like, I don't know, like I would have like random like videos on YouTube pop up that was like really interesting and I'd watch them and like just have more questions, like spiritual wise. And
Mhm.
then I like came to a point basically like in my meditations where I would start seeing visions and be like, what is going on? Like, what is this? So yeah, like once that started happening, I just like started meeting more people. And then I met Candace, who, is our teacher.
Mhm.
And she basically was like, you're a medicine woman. I'm like, really? Like, okay. And then just like learning the tools that she gave us. And yeah, I think meditation was probably, the biggest like door going into it. But I think I also just had the intention of like, I want to know the truth. Like, show me God, show me the real truth. Right. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but
No, that's beautiful. Yeah, and I think that so many people go through this unraveling of who they are, of what they believe, and there's no heaviness towards, like people who are really religious or who have
Mhm,
that as their guidepost. It's kind of an expression per each person, per, what works for them. And so
exactly.
you even growing up where you came from, like helped launch you, even though it might have been painful in some ways, and
Mhm,
kind of help launch you into this new aspect. And one thing I love is that God, our spirits, our ancestors support, give us those tools and those tips to like help us navigate our spiritual self. And like I love what Carrie's saying. She says, "Yes, show me the real God." That sounds so relatable because it's like, what is that for me? What's that tangibility? How does that resonate? Who am I? And I
mhm,
feel like that's part of embracing the medicine within is regardless of how someone experiences that, we're here with an open mind to just see how God works throughout all of us in so
mhm,
many different ways that there's not just one way a full connection because God is infinite. And each person who has a relationship, say with, let's say someone who has a relationship with their animals, right? We might have a different relationship than another family member with that animal. And
Hmm.
you can't just say, hey, it has to be this way because each person, if you have children, you have different relationships with each of those kids. They're a different being. And so you have your own unique space. And I feel like God works in that way as well with all of us.
Yeah, totally. I think like the hardest thing for me, like within, the religion or church type aspect is like the fear that comes with it, because like, a lot of my family, it's almost like they're choosing to follow this structured thing for fear of like going to hell or whatever. But for me, like I just always feel like, well, if God loves you, like why would he, why would that be a thing, right? And it's like in the Bible it says the kingdom of God is within you. And like once you go within and you like really realize like who you are and that God is within you, it's like it's all love. So I don't know, I just feel like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a beautiful thing. And like once you really have that connection, then
Right.
you're unstoppable.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So, what have you done or how have you found a sense of connection in yourself? So, I know you talked about meditation, um, and you launched into this space of meditation really helped you, but what kind of took that to the next level of like action steps and helping you embrace even more?
Yeah.
Are you open to talking about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, because it's really easy for me to like get spacey and just like super out of my body and just like worry and stuff. But I think I just like always have a reminder, especially, oh my gosh, it's just funny how you like mentioned the whole body thing, right? Like my body, so I threw my back out, my lower back a couple years ago weightlifting.
Mm,
And that was like the start of like, me going down the healing journey within my body. I met my mentor Rocky, who is an energetic healer, and so I like went to him and he like put his hands on my back and stuff, and he told me like, you're a healer. I'm like, what, really? Like that's crazy. But yeah, like I've noticed that when I'm not centered and out of whack, like my body will show me, like my hips will start hurting because like your hips and your lower back is stability, right? And like everything that happens in your body is a reflection of your emotions and what's going on in your mind internally. It's just, that's why like you'll get diseases because you'll manifest something that like you haven't like traumatically healed or whatever.
yeah.
But
I'm a
for
believer
me,
in that
right.
100%.
Right. So like if I'm not, like lately, like, my hips have been hurting, like my back's cracking and stuff. It's like, oh, okay, like I need to sit and like just recenter, come back to meditation, come back to my breath and ground. Like for me, especially, like the ocean is so important for me to ground. Like it really just helps me be present. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much like my main medicine, I would say, is just to remind myself like everything's fine. Like you're your own creator of your own life. And if you can control your mind, then you'll be fine. Like just don't tell yourself lies, like get back to the truth, like get back to your center. You're okay. So
How do you when your mind starts spiraling, what are your action steps or what do you do to help you, kind of recenter? Because of course we always fall back asleep. We always fall back into
right.
drama of the world. Like that's part of being human. That's what we're here to experience. But when
Hmm.
we are in this self space of understanding, we can more easily come back to the awareness of, oh, this isn't everything about me. This isn't my
Yeah.
only heaviness. So what do you do in that space to really help you like
Yeah.
boost into that space?
Right. I know, because it's really easy to spiral. And sometimes I'll spiral for like a few weeks before I like snap back out of it. But I think how I snap back out of it is just like asking questions and praying and then like, asking for answers. Like sometimes I'll pull oracle cards and I'll be like, okay, like this makes sense. Like I haven't been cultivating this or that, and then just start getting back on track. I mean, I try to make it a daily practice to meditate, but obviously, like, we all have things going on. We don't always do that. So I think it's just a matter of kind of, I don't want to say like reminding yourself, because I also feel like those moments when we do spiral are actually important
They
because it's
are.
teaching, yeah, it's teaching you something. So it's like, it's not a bad thing to fall off track either. It's just eventually, hopefully, you get back on track, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, it
yeah.
was it was beautiful because I'm part of this cacao ceremony for 20 days. It's a cacao
Oh,
challenge, and it's
nice.
these ladies in Guatemala. And they were talking today about how it's easy in the westernized world for us to have that backwards, for us to have that transcend, like that energy of like, oh, it's shameful, it's bad, it's wrong, I'm bad, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But instead of seeing it as a negative thing, it's like, oh, this is the time, this is the meat, this is a substance to like lean into. And when we're aware of that, it's almost like, what am I here to learn in a playful way versus making it bad and wrong, which actually brings in
Hmm.
a better understanding of ourselves, but also helps ease the burden of
Yeah.
how life can be dense and deep and
It's
heavy at times
human.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's definitely like being human and reminding yourself like you're here to have a human experience and to embrace all the emotions, all the feelings, everything. And it's all already perfect how it is. Like you signed up to be here to experience those things, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's duality. Like you can't have, one thing without the other because then you wouldn't know what the one thing is. So it's all just perfectly made how it's supposed to go. And sometimes, we forget that and we're just like too caught up and just being like, oh, like I'm not good enough or like this happened, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you're perfect. But sometimes, sometimes you have to go down like the deep rabbit hole and like that shows you your shadows too, right? In order
Yeah.
to come out the other end to remind yourself again, like, oh no, like everything's good, I'm perfect.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with all of that. So I wanted to dive in a little bit more with your ancestral connection. As you've stepped more into this space of embracing and, working with your mind, have you felt any draw or anything connected to your ancestors in that way?
So it's funny you asked that because, in terms of like our shamanic teachings that Candace like taught us, like there's like one journey that we do work with our ancestors and stuff. But for me, I don't personally like always work with my ancestors. I mostly kind of just work with just the divine and my higher self and like the ascended masters
Yeah.
and my spirit guides too, especially. But with my ancestors, that's why I feel like this Hawaii thing, I don't know what it is, but I just feel called to like go and nurture the land and something's gonna happen. And I'm not Hawaiian, in this lifetime at least. Like I'm half Japanese, half white, but I've always like, so the first time I went to Hawaii, I think I was in middle school and I just felt at home. And that might also just be because there's a lot of like Asian culture there, but I don't know what it is. And I think, yeah, I think my ancestors are calling me there for this
Yeah.
journey. Um,
That's
they've
beautiful.
definitely, yeah, I felt my grandma on my dad's side, who she died when my dad was 15. For a while, like there's certain instances that happen that like I've definitely felt her. And I feel like she always tells me to be patient with him.
Mm.
Because like he's gone through a lot, and I think the religious aspect for him has really helped him. So I
Yeah.
do see like, that kind of, I think growing up, I kind of have had even still today, like a weird, I don't want to say trauma with religion, but just a disconnect, and definitely do see um, the greatness of it for certain people. It's just not for me in terms of the structure. But yeah, I feel like my grandma's always just like, just be patient with him. Like he's learning, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So things
That
like
makes
that.
sense. Well, I
Hmm.
love when you're speaking, and what I have kind of felt too, and this might also bring guidance in that space too, but when you're working with someone's body or you're doing energy healing, you're
Hmm.
connecting into their body, you're connecting into their aura, their bubble, you're connecting into all of this. It's like you're connecting into their space. So I kind of see like leaning into their space and seeing their energy bubble and all that's going on. And then if you take a step back, this is where I feel like a lot of the ancestral realm lies. And then if you take another step back, that's where it opens up to, like our spirit guides, our galactic,
Mm-hmm,
our
mm-hmm.
our higher self, like all of that as well. And so I kind of see it as like three levels almost of connection. And of course, you can like bring in information from their higher self or their guides or whatever that is on top of it while you're working in the body. But I think there's always layers of growth and of learning and of connection. And so, even
Yeah.
if you haven't felt as strongly called to your ancestors, at least not as strongly
No,
as
that
everything
makes sense.
else, there's still
Yeah.
so much power in that.
Right. And like, especially like, us as Reiki healers too, like Reiki is a Japanese form of healing, which is, I know that my grandma or great grandma was a Reiki healer. I just like know it. But the healing that I also do, like I channel and like I can get that information too within like someone like, within their ancestors. It's crazy. So that makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. And I think you mentioned before too, like that in the mini reading that we did earlier, that like the my ancestors were rubbing like dirt and stuff like on
Yeah,
your,
like
and like
healing
that's,
with the
yeah,
poultices
and
and
like
stuff like
that's
that.
right with like the meridians and stuff, and even like herbal medicines and stuff, so it's all connected for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where your journey goes with, being in Hawaii, reconnecting to the land, all of that. I have this beautiful podcast. Her name is Keepers of the Land. It's this
Okay.
podcast where she does shamanic practices, but like helps people journey in the land and connect and
Oh
heal. And
wow,
I want to take her course so bad, but
that sounds
she is
amazing.
phenomenal. So I'll have to send you her podcast because oof, that stuff really resonates. It's so beautiful. So I think you'll
Wow.
probably love listening to
Yeah,
all
that
of that
sounds super
too.
cool.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because even in that mini reading today, I talked about like even channeling, like the muscles or the tissues or the knee, or even like connecting to the plants and like channeling with the plants, like all of that
Yeah.
stuff too. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that could be a cool, a beautiful insight and inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else in your space that you were preparing for that we didn't hit on?
um no, I mean, no, I don't think so. I just feel like I feel called to just say, it's really, I feel like connecting to spirit, it's just really connecting to yourself. Like for me, I think, a lot of times, like when I fall off the wagon, it's just doubting and like doubting myself, which is a reflection of like doubting God in a sense. And I just feel like in this journey that I'm going through right now, like faith has just been popping up in my head all the time. And it's like really just one, if you have faith in yourself, that's really like having faith in God, right? Because we're all connected. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I need to share that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And it's almost like to dive deeper into that connection with God. It's also diving deep into ourself and
Hmm.
knowing that, we're not bad and wrong and we're not unholy. And on top of that, like, yes, we're here to be human, but everything we experience is this human sacred space. And so it's
Right.
like, as we venture off or take that time to actually dive into ourself, no matter how scary that might be, like that truly is where we find that divine connection because ultimately, when we get to the core of it, we are that divine
Hmm.
connection. And
Hmm.
so it's almost like
There's
in
nothing
order
to be
for us
afraid
to,
of. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And that's been something I've been
yeah,
struggling with, like with this move and like, oh, am I like doing the right thing? Like, where do I go? What am I supposed to do? And just like being really afraid, but then just reminding myself, like, no, like this is your path. Like, it's in your like your path, like in my gut, I can feel it. So
right,
whether something bad happens or not on the journey, it's not really bad because everything happens for you. Like, I really am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason and it's for you to grow. It's just that, like, are you open to grow? Right. Because some
right,
people aren't, and then they stay complacent and then they never go for their dreams and like they're miserable. And it's, that's not a life that I want to live.
right.
It's easy in a sense where you're not challenging yourself, but at the same time, it's hard because you're not happy. Like you don't know the
Yeah.
truth that you have and the power that you have inside, right? And if you know that you have that, then that's like freedom. That's
Yeah.
literally, you can have heaven on earth with that. So,
And it's almost like that complacency, it's comfort, it's complacency, but then it also becomes very unconnected.
yeah.
So it's like when we actually dive into the movement forward, into all of that, it actually gives us a better sense of purpose,
Hmm.
and it pushes us to grow, which is all about what our medicine is supposed to do. It's not like we only experience it once and we're good. Like we're
No.
constantly being
Yeah,
reminded and learning
exactly.
and growing. And so
Hmm.
it's beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a beautiful journey. Like life is just wild. We're just
Yes.
here to, ride the waves. So,
Right. Yeah. Embrace all of those things. So thank you so much, Emiko, for coming on. I know you were a little nervous, so I hope that you felt really calm and collected
no, it
in the
was fun. Yeah.
process. Yeah, it is really fun to just be with people who you can have those conversations with, and
Oh,
be
yeah.
reminded, because
Hmm.
as we speak, it anchors that within us as it anchors that within others as well. So it's such a beautiful give and take in that way.
Yeah, it's a good reminder. Like, I mean, we're never alone, like, we always have spirit within us, but it's also
Yeah,
really nice to be able to share it in community. And like, we're supposed to do that. So,
right. I
yeah.
love that. Well, let me read a couple of these comments here. Um, Penny says, dive deep into controlling your mind. Carrie says, spiraling moments are teachers. That is beautiful. Heaven on earth. I love that. Which is so true. It's so beautiful.
Hmm. And we're the
Absolutely.
way showers for that, to
Yeah.
be a reflection for other people, to be inspired to do that too. Like, it's funny, like, not to like make this like a whole thing, but when I quit my job and I told my higher up person, she was like, wow, like that's really inspiring. And she actually told me like she kind of wanted to quit her job too. And I was just
Mhm.
like, wow, that's crazy. Like maybe you should, like, just kind of like planting seeds in terms of, I mean, I don't want everyone to just like go up and quit their job, but like in terms of just like, go and follow what you feel called to do. So,
Yeah. And this is the last thing too with that is I always see that at the end of our life, we are the only ones who ultimately are responsible for what we experience here. And when
yeah.
we look back and we reflect upon our life,
Hmm.
we are the ones who will
Hmm.
experience it and to see it and to be a part of it. Like it's all us.
Yep.
And so we can't make our life decisions based upon other people or
Yep.
wounding or being afraid of other people, because ultimately we're the ones who are going to reflect
Exactly.
on our life, learn on
Right.
our life, create on our life. So I'm really excited for you. That's beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited too.
Yay. Well, let's dive in to our last for our giveaway.
Awesome.
So, what I have here, once again, for those who didn't see at the beginning, we have this it's a calm and relax tea. So, this has chamomile, fennel, licorice root, passion flower, spearmint, ginger, marshmallow, St. John's wort hibiscus, lavender, and cornflower. So, it's a really great
Good one.
blend.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of those are so soothing and relaxing. And then we have these freaking adorable new moon bath bombs. Um, and they are manuka honey and orange blossom.
Ooh, nice.
And there's 9 of them. And then of course, along with the tea, we have one of these adorable third eye mugs here. So I know I love all the goodies, and I feel like those kinds of things, like, even this, you could put this in your bath if you didn't want to drink it, you know, you could even put those in your bath and have a bath tea, which
Oh
also promotes
yeah.
that healing and that,
Hmm.
all of that. So Mother Earth is beautiful, and that's so fitting with what you're going to be doing.
Yeah,
This is the
I'm
giveaway.
hoping that I find a farm that does like herbal kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens. But
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. Okay, so I want you to connect in for a moment
Okay.
and pick between, so there are 5 people on
Okay.
right now. So just think of what number you want to relate that to.
Let's do number 2.
Okay, that is Penny Shirley. So Penny, you are the lucky winner of the bath bombs
Nice.
and the relaxation tea and that cute, adorable mug. So thank you so much for joining, everybody. Amigo, thank you for who you are and the light that you share. And I'm so excited to watch you move into this new space. And I'm going to
Thanks.
send you that podcast because you're going to
Oh,
love
yes,
it.
100%. Cool.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you. Have a good Sunday.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Beautiful. Thank you for those who participated in this next section of the launch of the Modern Sages Soul Tribe. As you can see, we have so many amazing support and beauty, and everyone has their own unique journey about how they've been able to embrace the medicine within. And, I want to also preface that there are some who really draw into their connection being very religious, and we're not like pulling away. I'm not pulling away from any of that. There are women who, we have Candace coming on today, who her spiritual space really brought her back into her spiritual path of religion. And so, there's so many beautiful different paths and different ways. And so I just wanted to bridge that too, that we all come here to express and to experience ourselves in our own unique way. And it's beautiful how we have the ability and the space to do that. So, the next woman who will be joining us at 3 o'clock, so in 30 minutes, we have Ashley Curtis, who I ended up working with her. Her husband had passed, leaving her with 2 kiddos. And so, we are going to talk about finding purpose in grief with Ashley, and that will be at 3 o'clock. So join back in. I love her story. Who she is so beautiful and so powerful. And of course, we are going to once again keep going forward with the giveaways that we have. So stay tuned. We're halfway through. So we have Ashley. After that, the next hour, we have Candace. And then the final hour is the big launch giveaway, as well as I'm going to be sharing with you what our tribe has the ability to experience in October's challenge of connecting to our ancestors. So stay tuned, and thank you so much for those who have joined so far. We're so very grateful. Thank you so much for watching this video. If this podcast has piqued your interest, we would definitely recommend you to finish the podcast by clicking the link below. We would also love to invite you to subscribe and to like to our YouTube channel, along with joining our Modern Sages Soul Tribe. This is a tribe of women helping to embrace the medicine within. In this tribe, we will be doing moon gatherings, having classes, and a lot of free content, spiritual gift giveaways, and so much more. If this calls to you, click the link below and join the Modern Sages Soul Tribe. Blessings.